Hey everybody, Puzzle Max here, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to it. Today we're going to be taking a look at the DodeRhombus. This is a very intimidating looking puzzle. If you don't know what you're looking at, or have never tried something like this one is a little scary. So what is it? First of all, it's a 12-sided dodecahedron, but it's a rhombic dodecahedron, which means that instead of these faces being pentagons, like on the Megaminx, or square, they're actually rhombic squares. So it just means they're stretched out. This bad boy is a lot of fun. It moves very, very well. I've had a lot of fun solving it, figuring it out. But as far as similar puzzles go, this is actually much more like the Curvycopter, or if you really want to go deep, it's actually a pretty much direct shape mod of the Curvycopter 3. Whereas these sets of edges here are the same as these little wing pieces on the inside. So those pieces there. The corners are still corners. And then when you get up here, these four colored tips are this centerpiece. And then each of these little triangles surrounding that tip are the same as these little triangles surrounding the centerpiece here. So if you can solve the Curvycopter 3, you can solve this bad boy. It's a little different because you got a more specific colors here for these triangles and for the tip itself. So orientation does matter for those. But with some creative setup moves and a little bit of understanding, you can make it work. As far as solving the rest of this stuff, if you can solve a helicopter cube, you can make the rest of this stuff work, because it really is exactly the same. The tutorial I'm going to be doing here is going to be a full jumbled scramble, so I'm going to mess it all up, and I may not take it out of shape, but I will be doing these moves here, which is just a jumble move. So if I do that, and then do a full 180 on the front here, even though it remains in puzzle shape, the shape it's supposed to be, this group of pieces here and this group of pieces here have gone out of orbit. So I can no longer get this set of pieces back to this spot without doing a jumble move. No matter how many 180-degree turns I do, that set of pieces will never end up here in between the green and cream colors. So as long as you do those types of moves where you just do a partial turn on this face and a partial turn on this face and then a 180-degree turn on the front, that's how you can do some jumbling moves and still take everybody out of where it belongs. The other thing that you're going to want to do in order to get a nice, good, jumbled solve here is break up these edges. These two edge pieces can separate, and it's fairly easy to do. Once you see it once, it makes complete sense, but trying to figure it out on your own could be a little strange if you're not used to a puzzle like this. In order to do this, you turn this front face, that partial turn, into the first jumbling position, and then you want to turn these so that this tip and this tip are standing up, facing straight towards you. In doing that, it's going to bring this tip to this position and this tip to this position. So it's going to leave this face still in the correct shape, that rhombic square shape, diamond, whatever you want to call it. So from here, if I do a 180-degree turn here on this front face, and then just undo those stand-up moves that I did there, now you've taken this blue and red and separated it from this, and this cream and red and separated it from this. If you do that a bunch during the scramble, in between doing jumble moves and just regular 180-degree turns, you're going to get things really, really screwed up, and it's a lot of fun to try and put stuff back together during the solve. So first things first, the scramble here, it's very easy. I just start doing 180-degree turns all around the puzzle. So wherever you want to go, just keep doing 180-degree turns. Eventually things are going to get messed up really well, And then occasionally, throughout the scramble, I will stop and then do that jumble move that I showed at the beginning. So if you just do partial turn on the right, partial turn on the bottom left, and then a full 180 on the front, you can keep it in its puzzle shape, in the correct shape, but you've taken these two pieces out of orbit. So they're no longer going to be able to get back where they were using 180-degree turns, which means that during the solve, you'll also have to use those jumble moves to get things back where they belong. And as long as you do a bunch of 180 turns, moving corners around, getting things out of orbit, and then I just turn the puzzle and start doing those jumble moves throughout the entire scramble. And then, after I get things looking good and messed up, then I'll start doing the partial turn on the front here, stand those up like that, and then do a 180 on the front to start separating those edges. I like doing a bunch of those and then going back to 180-degree turns and some more jumble moves just to get everybody taken out of place. Because this is a jumbling puzzle, if you really want to get confusing and make it a little more complicated, you can do partial turns and then keep doing other turns around the puzzle. I'm not going to do that here because my main goal is to show you some of the more algorithmic sides of how to solve this. Once you get it all jumbled and messed up and out of shape, the only way to get it back is to just kind of play around with it. And it's just an intuitive thing where you just have to kind of understand, well, that piece needs to go there, that piece needs to go there. It's not difficult so much as it is just kind of confusing and a matter of taking your time and figuring out how things move and where they're supposed to go. So let me finish this up and I will come back with a fully scrambled puzzle and we can take it from there with how to solve. So hang on and get ready to solve this bad boy. And we're back. Completely scrambled. I did lots of jumbling moves and messed everything up as best I could without taking it out of shape. So it's still the same shape, but a vast majority of these pieces are no longer in the correct orbit, so you can't get them back by just doing 180-degree turns. So first step here, and probably the most tedious of this whole thing, at least for, I guess because it's very, very repetitive, but once you get a system down and kind of figure it out, it makes sense. What you are looking to do is find one of these larger edge pieces and the smaller edge piece that are the same two colors. So for this one, I have the dark green and the cream color. So where's the smaller one? So here's the smaller one of that same system color. And you need to put these two pieces in the same spot. So they need to be in the exact same orbit. So in order for this piece and this piece to be in the same orbit, I need to get this one here somehow. Because if I were to just do a 180 turn, that brings that down here. So I need this piece either here or here. So let's see how we can do that. I know that the jumbling move would swap this and this piece, which I don't need to do. That's not helpful there. So let's just rotate this around a little bit and see where we can get it. I can put this here, which means if I wanted to, I could get it here or here, not exactly where I need it. So let's go back around here. I keep a finger here so I know what I'm looking at. From here, I can get this piece over to here, which still isn't very helpful. And from here, I can get it here or here or here. So from here, I can take this piece, if I bring it down to this position, and then I can get this piece, this small green and cream piece, I can get over to this side. So first thing I want to do is, I don't want to move this, so let's get that out of the way with just a 180-degree turn. And now if I do that jumbling move that I did with the scramble, so partial turn here, and a partial turn here, and then a 180-degree turn on this front face, that brings that around to the same face as the larger piece. So Now if I do that same set of moves that I was doing to separate these guys, I'll put them back together. This one is correct. I know that these are going to go back together the way they're supposed to because green is up on both of them. If cream was up on one of these, I could still put them back together, but they wouldn't match. So hopefully we'll get to that and I can show you what happens there. But for this, you just do a partial turn, bring that up, bring this up, and then do a 180-degree turn on that front face, and then bring this back down and this back down. And now that green and cream is paired up. So let's show you this maybe a couple more times here. Let's go with blue and white. So here's my little blue and white. Where's my big blue and white? So big blue and white is hanging out here. So it's close to it, not quite in the same spot. However, I know that if I bring this down here, I can swap it with this piece over here. And therefore, they'll be in the same orbit. So let's just turn this around so I can keep track of it. I'm going to bring this one down to here. This is the large blue and white that I'm working with. And then I'm going to do that jumble move, and it's going to swap this whole section over to here. So if I do partial turn there, and then a full 180, and now we can see that this blue and white is in the same orbit as the smaller blue and white. So again, same thing, just bring those partial turns, stand this up, and then do a 180-degree turn on the front here, and then undo those setup moves. And there you go. Blue and white is paired up. So I'm going to keep going here. I might step back in if I come across one where the colors aren't going to match. So I'll see you in a second. All right, I got pretty much everybody paired up here except for the green and orange and green and yellow. If you'll notice, on both of those, they're not same colors facing up. These ones have the green facing up, and these ones have the orange and yellow facing up. So even though these are together and I can swap them, I'm just going to pair these up even though they're not going to be right. So even though the colors aren't going to match perfectly, I just want to pair these guys up so that they're out of the way and I can keep track of them. So when you're going through your solving and you get to this point and you find ones that don't match up perfectly, I like to just pair them up so that you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to think about it. You know where they are. They're together. And then continue pairing everybody else up until you get to the end. Everything is paired up, even if it's wrong. You are always going to end up with an even number of these. You'll always have at least two, and that's because you have to fix one. When you fix one, you have something else broken that you have to repair using the next one. So save those till the end. Once you get everybody else paired up, just like I have here, then you can worry about fixing these guys. This is it's not an easy step at first. Once you've done it a couple of times, it does make sense. So I'm going to take this one here, so my yellow and green. I'm going to hold the puzzle like this, and then I'm just going to do a single jumble move that doesn't swap pieces the same way as I was doing before. This one's just going to have one piece taken out of position. So in this case, the one that I need to fix, the green and yellow here. And then I'm going to bring this around to here so it's out of the correct position. Next thing I need to do is get the wide part of the edge taken away from the small part. And in order to do that, you just turn that top face 180 degrees, just like that. Now I want to bring this around. So I'm going to take this and do a 180 turn on the right, and then a 180 turn over here. And then from there, I'm going to bring this tip back around to the side that it started from. And then I'm going to turn the puzzle 180 degrees, and I'm going to do that same basic move that I did before, where I took the section from down here out of place. I'm going to do that again, but because this has two corners attached, what I'm actually doing is flipping over this small edge piece that's here. So when I do that, you'll see that it also takes this out of place, but I'm not worried about that yet. I can fix that in a moment. So I'm going to bring this around, and now you'll see that the green and yellow pairs up just like it's supposed to. So if I bring this here, back up, and then undo that 180 on the front, it fixes that. But you'll notice, oh no, I still have a piece out. That's okay, because you still have something else that needs that same maneuver done in order to fix it, which means this will fix this in the process and make it a little easier to keep track of. So here, I'm going to bring this next set here, so the green and orange, I need to put it in a position so that it uses this. You don't necessarily have to, but it's helpful for me at least to keep track of. So if you think about that, well, when I did this partial move and then brought this around like I did before, it took out this section. So if I put that there, I know that this, in order to utilize this section here and fix it at the same time, I know that this green and orange section needs to be either here or here. So in order to do that, you're going to use the same basic technique that you've been using. I need to put this green and orange piece here. So if I just do a jumble move, let's get this out of the way first so that I can do a jumble move. If I do a jumble move here and here, 180 on the front, and then undo that, and then bring this back around, and then bring this back around so that it's standing back up where it was. Now this green and orange piece is in a spot where I can utilize that section that I've already taken out, which is in turn going to put this piece back here in a solved position. So I still only have one of those sections standing up, but because I end up using a jumble move later on, it'll create another standing up piece that'll make this fixable at the end. So just like before, I'm going to get this part out of the way, and I want to bring this section here around once, around twice, and then bring this back around to the front. And then I'm going to do that same basic move that I was using before with that, bring that halfway up, this section with the green and orange on the two corners. Bring this around like this. Good to go there. And now I'm going to bring this around, and you'll notice that it fixes that green and orange. And because I have one of these sticking out like it's not supposed to be, and this one sticking up, I can then fix both of those. And there you have it. Everybody is reduced as far as edges go, and everything is put back together in the right shape, so it looks like it's supposed to. Here's where it pretty much is now a funny shaped version of the Curvycopter 3. And these little centerpieces here, where the focal point of the rotation is the same as these big diamond shapes in the middle. And everything that I explained to begin with. So this is just like solving a regular Curvycopter or a more complicated Curvycopter 3. So hang on one second, and I will show you how to do that and how it relates back to that. All right, everything's reduced. So now, where to next? Well, you need to kind of turn on your helicopter cube brain. This is an edge turner, this is a face turner, so obviously they're different puzzles, but essentially they function very, very similar. So what I mean by this is, on a helicopter cube, first things I do is to solve any color. I picked red usually, and then I solve all these wing pieces surrounding it. Then I fix the edges or the corners, and then I get everybody for the top half in its correct orbit, then finally put it all together, and then finish off these corners. So you're basically going to do that same exact thing, but with a lot more colors to look at. So first thing I want to do is pick a tip. Don't worry about the tip piece because that's going to come later in the solve. But these four guys here are the wing pieces that surround or create the center on the helicopter cube. So these, you just need to match up the colors and get these four in first. So start with, let's find red and pink. Why not? So let's see. There's my red and pink. So let's get this down here so I can see it a little better and then figure out where I need to move it. So down here, this needs to be here. So I can use some of my jumbling moves and things like that. If I put this here, I know that if I bring it down to this spot and do a jumble move, it'll come here, which will allow me to bring it here. As long as you've paired everything up, nothing is going to be upside down. Nothing's going to fall into the spots incorrectly. So as long as it's in the right orbit, red will match up, and when you do the 180 there, pink will match up. So let's do a couple more of these. Let's see, red and cream, sitting right here. I can do pretty much the same thing. If I get this here, I know that it needs to go here or here. Either one works. So let's bring this down here. And for right now, there's a lot of freedom because you don't have anything else solved. So your main goal is just to kind of move things around and see where you can swap them. So just for the sake of what I'm doing here, let's bring this down here. I'm going to do a jumble move using this cream face. And there we have it. It's still not quite in the right spot. I need it to go from here to here. So I'm just going to use that same jumble move from this angle. And what do you know? Now that red and cream is where it belongs. Didn't impact my red and pink at all. So now we've got pink and gray. So let's see. Pink and gray is hanging out over here. So let's first just get it up to this level. See where I need to put it. It needs to go here. So if I bring this down to here, I know that I can bring it straight across to this side. So let's just bring that pink and gray down here. Turn a face and then just do the jumble move involving these two pieces. And sure enough, that pink and gray is now where it belongs. And now the gray and cream. So let's get this to the top half of the puzzle here so I can see it a little better. So this, I need to be, let's see. Sure enough, that works out. Because if I move this from this orbit over to this orbit, I know that I can bring it down to here, which will come down to here. So it's just a matter of kind of understanding the orbits of the puzzle and kind of figuring those out as you go. It's not terribly difficult at this point. It's just a matter of kind of training your eyes and knowing what you're looking for. And what do you know? Now all four of these pieces are in the correct locations. So again, don't worry about the tips or any of these small triangles surrounding those. Those are going to be the last step because there's a pretty nice 3-cycle for these small triangles and a pretty easy 3-cycle for the tips. But that's going to be the last step after you get everything else solved. So next up on the helicopter cube, I would do these pieces. These wing pieces here, all around the bottom layer. So if you do a little bit of mental math and kind of figure out where things are supposed to go, those are equivalent to these pieces here. It's kind of hard to see at first, but after you do it a few times and kind of adjust your eyes to it, it makes sense. So let's see here. This one, I just happened to get lucky. So this green and red lines up with the green, and I can bring it around, and there it is, lined up with the red. So where's my blue and red? Well, my blue and red is up here, which is also another lucky solve because it lines up there, which means if I bring it around here, there it goes, lined up there. So where's my blue and pink? Some of these are going to be very easy. The more you go, some of them are going to take some setup moves and some thought. So here's my blue and pink. First thing I want to do is get it out of this spot. That's obviously not the right spot. So let's bring it up one. In doing so, I moved my green and red. So I have to remember to put that back after I rescue my blue and pink here. So now I can move that out. It's in the top layer now. And then undo the turn of this green face to put that green and red back. So blue and pink, let's see here. If I just bring this down to here, it doesn't line up with the blue or the pink, so that's not right. But I noticed that if I were to put this blue and pink here, then it would 180 around to here, and then 180 down to here. So in order to do that, I'm just going to bring this down to here, and do a jumble move, bring it across, and then bring that back up, bring this back, and now this blue can line up with the blue here. This is another situation where you kind of got to pay attention to what you've already done, because if I just bring this blue around to here and line it up with the blue center, if I put that in, I'm going to take out the blue and red that I've already fixed. So in order to do this correctly, you have to bring this 180 around so that the blue will line up with the blue in the right place, so that when you undo the 180 of that, it puts the red back in and the pink that you were working on. So for these, you just got to keep going, doing all of those all the way around the bottom. Again, in these locations, some of them are going to fall in pretty easily. Others, you're going to have to be creative and do some jumble moves using these top layers that you haven't solved anything on yet in order to put these in. So after we do that, I will show you how to put these corners in and where to begin on the top half of the puzzle. All right, so I've got all of these edge pieces in place now. So I started here, got all 4 of these, and then moved on up and got all of these all the way around on the bottom half of the puzzle. Next step is I want to put these corners in place. Again, I'm still ignoring the tips, and I'm still ignoring the little triangles surrounding the tips. Those are much later. So for now, I just need to get these corners in. First thing you need to do is just go around and see what you have. I'm looking for the light blue, gray, and cream here. I do happen to have that available up here. So let's bring it around over top of where it belongs. So it belongs in this space, and what I'm looking for is the blue to match up with the blue. If the blue matches the blue, it means I can put this in place and all the other colors will match up. So currently it does not match up. This corner needs to rotate 1 notch clockwise. Because of the way this puzzle works, if I move this all the way around this top layer in a clockwise direction, it'll rotate this piece clockwise 1 click. So if I just do all the way around here, going clockwise, when it gets back to over top of where it belongs, you'll see it lines up. So in order to get this down here without messing up anything that I've already solved, first thing I want to do is just get it out of the way. So move it once over. Then I'm going to bring this corner slot up to the top. So I bring this around to here. Now when I bring this piece back in, this corner piece that I'm looking to fix, it's going to line up with this blue and cream here, but it's going to knock this gray and blue out of the way. So if I bring this around this way, it lines up there. Then I get this section out of the way, because I've just fixed that. I can use this front face here and just move this completely out of the way, which will allow me to do another 180 turn to bring that light blue and gray back into place. Do that, and then undo that move you were doing to get the corner and the fixed edge out of the way. Now everybody's lined up there, and you just bring this back down with 180 degrees, and there you have it. So next, I'm looking for green, cream, and red. I do happen to have that here. What do you know? It's already lined up. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Since the green matches the green, it's good to go. So I'm going to get that corner out of the way. I'm going to bring this all the way up so that the 2 colors I'm looking to fix here, and bring the corner back in. When I do that, it lines up here, but it moves the one that's supposed to be here. Then I'm going to take this out of the way, which will allow me to bring this piece back in where it belongs. And then I can bring this whole section that I fixed all the way back around. And now everybody's good to go. And I can take this and bring it back around, and it's all lined up with that corner fixed. Let's see, here we go. Here's another good one. Blue, red, and pink. That's what I need to go here. This one obviously needs to rotate. Same thing here. This one needs to rotate clockwise. If this needed to rotate counterclockwise, you do the same thing. If you just bring it all the way around this top half in a counterclockwise direction, it'll rotate this corner counterclockwise. But since this one needs to rotate clockwise, I'm just going to bring it all the way around the top half here in a clockwise direction. So if I just do 180 there, 180 here, 180 here, and a 180 here, now you can see the blue lines up with the blue center. So next step, get it out of the way. Bring this around. Bring the corner back in to line up with the piece there. Get this out of the way. Bring that red and blue corner or edge piece back in. And then bring that section with the corner back around, and everybody lines up, and then you can just do another 180 here to put that corner and those two edges back where they belong. Last one here. We've got green, pink, and gray, which should be around here somewhere. Let's see. Let's bring this around, and what do you know, another situation where this needs to rotate clockwise. So, same thing, just go around that top half, clockwise direction. The green lines up. Now, out of the way. Bring this around. Bring this back. Get it out of the way so I can fix that green and pink. Bring that back in. Bring this back around. And there you go. And now all four of the corners on the bottom half of this puzzle are complete. Now the next step is probably the hardest to look at because you have to keep track of what colors belong where and know how the puzzle moves. But if you finish that bottom, the top it'll make sense now that you finish the bottom. Things will start making a little more sense for you. So we'll check that out in a second. And we're back. Okay. So if you can solve a helicopter cube, a curvicopter, you're already ahead of the game here because you've probably got a system of your own for bringing those pedal pieces to the correct faces and then fixing the top. It's the same thing. It literally is the same thing here. But because there's more colors to work with, you just have to kind of retrain your eyes so you're seeing it the way it should be. So pick a face, doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start with white simply because I can see that the white and blue is already in the right spot. I'm not going to worry about these four at the very top right now. Those are going to come last. My main concern is getting all of these surrounding pieces. So all 8 of these little pedal pieces, I don't know what else to call them. They're edges, but they function like the pedal pieces on a helicopter cube. So next I'm looking for white and dark green. So let's just find it and get it to the top here. So there it is, white and dark green. And I need this to come all the way over to here so that I can bring it around to line up down here. This is, again, your own personal system. You'll come up with it after you fiddle around and do this enough times. For me, I'm just going to move this from here to this spot, and then I'm going to take it from this spot and move it to here. So 2 sets of jumble moves here. So first thing, I just want to bring this down here and do a jumble move, all the while keeping an eye on the blue and white that I've already solved, just so I know where it goes and how to bring it back. So I did that jumble move there, and now I'm going to bring this green and white up to this top face, or top section, and then bring this blue and white that I'd already solved back around to the bottom where it belongs. Next up is pretty much the exact same thing. I got kind of lucky here because it's early and I don't have anything else to worry about. if I bring this green and white just straight down here, then doing the jumble move is going to take it from here over to here, putting it right where it belongs. So I'm just going to do the partial turns there, a full 180, and then put that back where it belongs. So there you have it. This is just a matter of going around and kind of doing that as best you can without messing up what you've already solved. That's the reason we saved these last four for the very last part, because they're your dead space. They're what you can use to kind of store things and keep things out of the way. So now moving on to purple. I've got the purple and blue already in the right place, and this purple and green needs to go here. So if I move it from this space to this space, then I can bring it around. But I've got to be a bit more careful here, because when I bring this around here and do a jumble move to bring it from here to here, if I do it with the right side going up and the left side going down like that, it's also going to take this green and white out of the way. And since that's already correct, I don't want to move that if I can avoid it. So what I'm going to do is use the left going up and the front right going down, and then do that same jumble move, the full 180 there. It swaps those pieces the exact same way, but it left this green and white where it belonged. So I can just bring this green and white back down, and then I know that this purple and green is now lined up here, but I don't want to screw up this blue and the light blue and purple. So first thing I want to do is get this green and purple out of the way, bring this face up and around, and then bring that green and purple back around, lining it up. And now both the light blue and purple and the green and purple are correct. Now that I've got two faces done, chances are I'm going to mess up something here in the process of fixing the next two faces, the bottom pieces on the next two faces. So let's find something first. I need either orange and light blue or orange and green. So here's my orange and green, and here's my orange and light blue. Both of these have to move 2 slots. I've got to move this here, and I've got to move this here in order for them to come in. So I can do a 2 birds, 1 stone thing here first and swap these 2 pieces with each other. That'll put them both closer to where they need to go. So I'm going to bring this orange and blue down here, and I'm going to bring the orange and green down here. And this is another situation where you just have to kind of keep an eye on things and know where stuff goes. This purple I already have correct, so I want to bring this up so that it's not going to involve any of the purple pieces that I'd already fixed. And I'll bring this one down, and then a full 180 here, and then undo that, and then I can bring this back up here, and this back up here. And now the orange and blue needs to move to this spot so it can come down here, and the orange and green needs to move to this spot so that it can come down here. So it doesn't matter which one you start with. So I'm going to start with the orange and green. So I'm going to bring it around and down here, and then now I know that I can bring this orange and green straight across here where it belongs. But I don't want to mess up this white if I can help it. So I'm just going to put that up out of the way, and I'm going to bring this front right down so that now when I do that jumble move, I get lucky and can now just fix the white so that those are still correct. Haven't messed up the purple any, but now the orange and green that I was looking to fix is where it belongs. Now I need to bring this orange and blue to this spot in order for it to swing down to here. Here, I cannot do anything super easy in order to prevent something else from getting messed up. It's just going to happen. But what I have to remember is that this jumble move, even though it's going to move some of these pieces around, they don't come out of orbit. It keeps them in the same orbit where they belong. The only 2 pieces that change orbit are this piece here and this piece here. So as long as neither of these are in the correct spot already, it's not going to make this unsolvable or unredoable. So I'm going to bring this up. That'll preserve my white for me. It's one less thing I have to worry about. And then bring this down. And then do a 180 here. And then undo that. Undo this. And I'm going to fix the white, because that's where it belongs. And now here, you'll notice that my purple and blue stayed where it was supposed to be. My orange, or my purple and green rather, has moved up to here, but it's still in the same orbit. I can still put it back where it belongs. I just have to do some other fancy moves in order to fix it correctly. So I'm not even going to worry about that right yet. I'll come back to that in after I get the last face here done. So now I've got yellow and green and yellow and blue that I'm looking to fix. So the yellow and green is already where it belongs. I just got to bring that around with a 180 there. Lines up. The yellow and blue is just one slot away. Here's where you really have to be careful and keep track of the colors that you've already done. So I need to move this one slot over. So I'm going to bring this around so that when I bring this yellow and blue around 180, it's in the spot that'll move across in the jumble position. But I don't want to do it with this blue and orange piece because that's already in the correct slot. I don't want to take that out. I don't want to take it out of orbit, mess a bunch of other stuff up. However, this purple and white here is not a part of anything that I've already fixed. So I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to bring this purple and white piece down to the bottom. And then I'm going to swap these two. So doesn't matter what order you go in here, you're going to mess up some other stuff, but it's not going to take anything out of orbit that you've already fixed. So I bring that around like that, and then I can fix the white there. I can bring this back up here, and now you can see the yellow and blue that I was working with is in the correct orbit, and I can just put that back into place here. So if I bring this around, I can line that up and bring this back down. So let's see what we got going here before I move on to anything in the top layer. So my yellow, those are all good. The whites are good. The purple, I've got to do some swapping here. So let's take this purple and green and move it out of the way. And let's bring this face around 180 and bring this purple and green back up. And then bring this back around. So now the purple and light blue are good, and the purple and green are good. Now here, the orange and light blue is in the correct orbit still, so I didn't screw anything up there. However, it's off. It's not in the right place. If you are in this situation, chances are it's because some of your pieces that belong in these top four, this top four section, some of those pieces are also in the incorrect orbit. If you had everything in the right orbit, you'd be able to do this using just 180-degree moves and a little bit of patience. So what I'm going to do here is find any one of these four pieces that belong in this top four section and start changing their orbits using the same method I was doing before, but making sure that I don't swap them with any of these bottom pieces. It sounds way more confusing than it really is, I promise. Once you see the colors and know what you're working with on your own puzzle, it's going to make sense. So for example here, just looking at this white and orange, or white and purple rather, needs to go here. And in doing so, it'll swap with this purple and orange. That's going to add a potentially more difficult step for me because of where other things need to go. However, this purple and orange needs to go here. This yellow and orange needs to go here eventually. So let's swap this purple and orange first. So I'm just going to bring the yellow and orange around and the purple and orange around, and then do that same jumble move. I know that nothing else is going to be taken out of orbit except for these pieces that I'm working with. And then I can bring this back up, and then bring this back up, And what do you know? That purple and orange is where it belongs. And this is getting closer. Now I want to do the same thing, but I'm going to swap the white and purple over to where it belongs. I know that it's not going to hurt anything because the orange and yellow is part of my top 4. So I don't need to worry about that. I just need to make sure I use it and not one of the pieces that's already in the correct placement. So I'm going to bring that orange and yellow down. I'm going to bring that purple and white down. And then I'm going to do the single jumble move. That's going to bring those into different places. And when I undo that, I can see that that places the white and purple, and it kept the orange and purple in the right space. Now, I know that I have a white and yellow somewhere that needs to go here. And I know that this orange and yellow needs to go here. Chances are they're easy to swap. So first thing I want to do is find the white and yellow. It's here. And if I do a 180, that'll bring it back up to this space. So first thing I want to do is just get this orange and yellow out of the way. And then I'm going to bring this orange and white up to the top. And then bring that orange and yellow back up here. So the yellow and white and the orange and yellow can swap very easily. And that's what they need to do. So I'm just going to bring this around and bring this around and then do a single jumble here to swap both of those. And now I can confidently say that all of these pieces are in the correct orbit. So now it's just a matter of doing some 180 moves and getting a little creative to put as many of these in the right place as I possibly can, which in theory should be all of them. So if I bring this around, I know that I can pair this orange and green up here. And then let's bring this back down. Let's see, where is the orange and light blue? That's living over here, so let's bring this up here and pair that orange and light blue up, and then bring this back around. So now this whole face is correct. Next step, this yellow and white needs to go here. So I'm going to bring the yellow and white up, and I'm going to take it out of the way, and then bring this back around, and then bring this back up. Now, this is going to be a little screwy at first, but I promise it'll still make things better. I'm going to bring this dead space here up to the top so that when I bring this around, the yellow and green will pair up in this position. The advantage here being that because the centers are single color, it doesn't matter which direction they're going for now. And now, one final little rotation here should fix everything. So if I bring this purple and white up to the top here where it's supposed to be, then in doing that, I can now bring this purple and light blue up to this position. And then when I bring the purple face back around 180, it'll bring that blue and white into position. And what do you know? A single 180 on that white face fixes everything. Now, all of these edges are in the correct place around the entire puzzle. So, hopefully that made sense. Watch this again if you need to. I'm still kind of new at this, so hopefully everything is flowing well for you and you're understanding what I'm talking about here. So, next up, we're going to finish off these corners, and then I'm going to show you how to deal with the tips and these little triangles. So, all right, the triangles are the corners here is really the first, like, almost algorithm thing involved here. It's not very difficult. It's just a matter of taking care of it. If you already have a method for the helicopter cube, curvicopter, any of those types of things that make your corners work, you can use that. I guarantee it. There is one little potential parity issue that you wouldn't see on this because you have single color centers. But here we go. So first of all, you need to just look around and see if any of your corners are in the correct spot. This one is in the right spot, it's just not facing the right way. We'll fix that in a second. First off, though, we need to get everybody where they belong. So this orange, green, and yellow needs to go here. This one needs to go here, and this one needs to come across to here. So you can do this either direction. This is the left-handed version. You can do a right-handed version that functions exactly the same way. What it's going to do is it's going to take this piece and move it across to here. It's going to take this one and move it over to here, and it's going to take this one and move it to here. It's not going to touch the one at my left. So first things first, I'm just going to do up left, up front, up left, and then up back, and then repeat what I started with. So up left, up front, up left, and up back. And as you can see, didn't hurt this any, stayed exactly where it was, and these other ones have all swapped around. There is a potential issue where if you've done everything else correct and you get here, it's going to throw you off because you're going to end up with this case that I'm creating where you've got two corners that need to swap and everything else is correct. All the edges are correct, all the other corners are right, but you've got these two corners that need to swap with each other. This is where you do what's called the double jumble. So it's involving a lot of what you've been using to get to this point, but just a little extra step. So first thing I'm going to do is a partial turn on the upright, a partial turn on the front left, and a full 180 for that jumble move. Then I'm going to undo that and undo this, and then I'm going to do partial turn on up left and a partial turn in the opposite direction on front right, and then do another 180 degree turn. Essentially what that did was swapped this whole section across once, swapped it back again, but it also rearranged your corners, or these pieces, rearranged these pieces so that you need to do a 180 degree turn on that front face to put these back where they belong, and in doing so, it also puts your corners back where they belong. So it's not terribly difficult, and you'll probably see it at least once. So the next part here is just rotating these corners so that they're facing the right direction and where they need to be. The algorithm I'm going to use here is very easy, and what it does is it's going to take the corner in the front left position and rotate it one space clockwise, and it's going to take the corner in the back right position and rotate it one notch counterclockwise. So if you can set that up properly, it's a good thing. Because I've got three here that are not correctly oriented, chances are I'm going to have to do this at least twice. So first things first, this one needs to rotate counterclockwise. This one needs to rotate counterclockwise as well. So I know that in doing this algorithm here, I'll fix this one in the back right-hand side. So what you want to do is hold it with all four of these corners, and this one is going to be right, front, right, and then left, back, left. And then you just do that same thing again. So right, front, right, and left, back, left. And what do you know? It fixed that, just like I said it would. Next up, now we see that this piece, because it rotated once. Okay, as I was saying, this piece, this corner, has to rotate once clockwise, which means that this piece back here, this corner, needs to rotate once counterclockwise. However, they're not quite in the right places. So this is an easy fix. You just got to do a little setup move here. So I'm going to just do a 180 on this purple face to bring this back to here. Then I'm going to do that rotation algorithm and then undo that setup move. So again, right, front, right, and then left, back, left, and then once more, right, front, right, and left, back, left, and then undo that setup move that I did on that purple face, and now all of my corners, all of my edges are where they belong. Everything's rotated, oriented correctly. So the next step is going to be fixing these tips and then these little triangles. There's a lot of setup moves involved with this and a lot of just kind of understanding and figuring out the puzzle and where things go and how things move. It's not a terribly difficult step, but there's just a lot involved. So you really got to kind of do some trial and error and figure out how to make things work. So we'll hit that in a second. And we're back. Okay, so these tips, first things first, you just got to get those into the right place and oriented correctly. There is some setup moves and kind of rearranging that you might have to do in order to get them to work. But the first thing you want to do is get 3 of them straight across. Doesn't matter which ones, it doesn't matter where, as long as there's 3 of these adjacent ones all the way across. So let's find one first that needs to go in one of these spots. So this one here, this is the white, orange, yellow, and purple, which needs to go up here. But as you can see, the way it's sitting right now, it can't go straight up, because if I just bring this up to here, it's not facing the right way. Because nothing else is solved right yet, this is a pretty easy thing to work with. Let's see if I move it over to here. Still doesn't come in the right way. But what if I bring it down here first and then up here? Again, these are just setup moves. I'm not doing any real like algorithms or anything. So there, you see it. I brought it down to here and then up to here. And now, because the yellow is lined up with the yellow, it means when I do a 180 turn here, that piece is going to sit right where it's supposed to be. So I'm just looking to fix that piece right now. I'm not too worried about getting all 3 of them done at once or anything like that. And this is very easy. It's just right, left, right, left. Because the 2 faces you're using are opposite each other, none of the edges or corners interact with each other. So as long as you just do that 2 faces opposite each other, you're perfectly fine. You do have to remember the setup moves that you did. So I know that I need to turn this back around to here and this back around to here. So that one's done. Now I want to find 2 more of these 4 around the edges here that I can put into place. So let's see what I can find. This one here is the green, yellow, blue, and pink. That needs to go up here, but it's not quite right. So let's see if I can just move it around in a couple of different ways and where it might work. I can see, obviously, that if I move this to here, the pink lines up with the pink, which means if I just do a 180 turn here, all of those colors match up. However, because this one is already correct, I don't want to use this in the algorithm. So all I'm going to do is just pick any other of these tips and just bring it in so that it's what's going to be involved in this little 3 cycle here. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to bring this up to here. Get it out of the way so that I can fix the other face. So fix that starting face. And then bring this left back up here. And there you go. And now I just have to undo those setup moves that I did. So bring that one back up and then bring this one back around. So now we're in a weird situation here because we've got these 3 correct. This one just by dumb luck, and these 2 were the ones I was trying to get in the right place. You can work with this if you're really comfortable with setup moves. You can turn this out of the way like this and play around with it this way. I'd rather not. For me, it's just easier if I get 3 in a row. So I'm going to work on getting this pink, gray, cream, and red one. So it's down here. Now I know because the gray doesn't line up here, I can't just bring this up. So what happens if I bring it over to here first? Still doesn't work because the gray doesn't line up. So maybe if I bring it down first and then up here. Sure enough, that lines the pink up. This is one of those spots where you just got to play around with it. As you get more comfortable, you'll start noticing exactly how things move and how they can move. But here, this one's not correct yet. This one's not correct yet, so I'm not worried about those. I'm just going to put this one in place and then undo those setup moves. So if I just do right, left, right, and left, that one's in. And now I'm going to undo these couple of setup moves that I did. And wouldn't you know it, now I've got these 3 in a row, these 3 in a row, and these 2 are sitting where they belong, but they're not facing the right direction. So first things first here, I need to get one of these pieces out in a spot that I can do some extra moves on it to rearrange it. So I'm going to bring this piece down to this left-hand side. Let's make it the right-hand side for now. So I'm going to bring this piece down to the right-hand side. That way when I make some moves to rearrange it, when I undo those when I undo the steps that I'm going to do to swap places, then the setup moves that I did to rotate this piece will rotate this piece in the opposite direction, which should fix both of them. So in order to get this down to here, I need to start on the left and just do left, right, left, right. So now I need to do some rotation here so that this piece has the blue facing the blue face. This is pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. You just got to move it from here to here, here to here, and then back up to here. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've done this puzzle a handful of times, and I can never remember which direction you need to go in order to rotate this, which direction. So I always just start with this one and then kind of undo if I need to. So I'm going to bring this over to here. I'm going to bring it down to the bottom, and then I'm going to bring it back up to the top. And there you go. It rotated that the correct way. So now I'm going to bring this up to here. It's going to end up putting this back and this back over here. And then I'll undo these setup moves, which should rotate that other tip in the opposite direction, which is what it should need done. So right, left, right, left. And then if I bring this down to here, and then bring this back around to here, and wouldn't you know it, just like I was expecting, it rotated that tip in the correct direction. So now that all of those tips are where they belong and all of the corners and edges and everything is where it's supposed to be, the final step is these little triangles here. This part is annoying. It takes a while, but it can be kind of entertaining once you figure out a system and kind of understand how things move. So give me 1 second, I'll show you that. All right, so the algorithm here is a very simple idea, and it's the same as the one on the Curvycopter 3, but it's just modified a little bit in how it looks. It does the same thing though. So what this is going to do is the algorithm that I'm going to use is going to take whatever piece is down here in the bottom back right, it's going to bring it up to here, then this piece is going to go down to here, and this piece is going to go back over to here. So it's a pure 3 cycle. It's not going to affect anything else on the puzzle, but you will likely have to do some very annoying setup moves. They're not complicated, but there's just going to be a lot to keep track of. So first things first, let's find one that works. So this blue one on the right-hand side, you can also do this from the left. You just got to start on the left-hand side as opposed to starting on the right, but it's the exact same algorithm, just a mirrored version. So this blue one can come up to here, And what that's going to do, it's going to bring this blue one straight up to the top. This orange one is going to go down to here, and this red one is going to go down here where this blue one started. So this algorithm is pretty easy, but it's not short. It's a little lengthy. But what you're going to do is right, left, right, left, and then you want to do back, front, back, and then undo that first part, which was left, right, left, right, and then you just finish off by undoing the second half of that. So back, front, back. And as you see, that blue is there, the orange dropped down to here, and the red came over here. Let's find one more here, and hopefully I can make sense of it. This one works well. So this white one is on the opposing face here, but it's not in this position. It's on the back. So the basic setup move here for this is just do a 180 here, and now I can move this straight up to this position. But if I move this straight up to here, then the purple is going to go here, and the white that's already correct is going to come back here. So what I want to do first is a 180 on this front face. That way, this white one will come up here, this white one will go down here, and this purple one, which I'm not worried about right yet, will come across to here. So, same set of moves here. This one is just right, left, right, left, back, front, back, and then left, right, left, right, and then back, front, back. And then you just have to remember your setup moves. I know I did this front, and I know I did this back face. And now everybody on the white face is complete. And that's really all there is to it. You've just got to get kind of comfortable with some setup moves and making things work. And there's potentially some more complicated setup moves near the end. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead here and show you once more, and then I'll cut back in after I get near the end. So this one's another great example, because this blue that needs to go on this face is right next door to the face it needs to go to. If I turn this back face 180 degrees, it moves that light blue one over here, which is a face that I can turn up and put in place there. So I did that back turn, and now I can turn this white face 180 degrees and have it ready to go. But this time I'm going to be using the mirrored version. Same exact algorithm, just starting on the left. So this is left, right, left, right, back, front, back, and then to undo those moves, it's now on right, left, right, left, and then back, front, back. And then I've just got to remember my setup moves here, so I know that I have to move this white face 180 degrees, and then move this green face 180 degrees. So hopefully you could follow that, keep track of it. I'll cut back in when I'm near the end and show you how to finish things off. Here's another handy setup move combination to show you. Say you've got a situation like this where the color you need is opposite the face you're trying to fix. Looks like it's impossible to get where you want it, but if you turn this 180 and then turn the whole puzzle over, so the face you're looking to work at is upside down now, then when I bring this red that was here, I brought it down to here, now if I turn this way, now it's sitting in the right place, so I can bring this red to here, this red down to here, and this green across with the same moves. Right, left, right, left, back, front, back, and then left, right, left, right, back, front, back, and then you just undo those setup moves in the opposite order. Sometimes you got to remember to get creative. So this orange needs to go onto this face, but if I do too much turning, I'm going to end up taking other oranges out and making it difficult. However, I can also remember that this piece, when I do that algorithm, this bottom piece is going to move to whatever face I started from. So I can take this orange piece, turn it down here, and then turn it around this way. So now that space is where I can use it. Now if I do the algorithm from the left-hand side, it's going to bring this blue one up to here, this yellow one down to here, which isn't going to hurt anything. But the orange one that's here is going to come across to the orange spot where the blue one starts. So another just left, right, back, front, back, and then right, left, back, front, back, and then undo these couple of setup moves. And as you can see, now the orange is finished off. And we're almost there. I've got this cream one on the yellow face, and over here, this yellow one on the cream face. They're direct opposite. You can make as many turns and stuff as you want, and it's still going to be very difficult to get this piece on either this face or this face in order to use them. So this is one of the setups that is not the most common, but will come in handy if you get to a tough spot here. It's also the hardest to remember, so you've got to be pretty comfortable, take notes, whatever. But what you're going to do here is I'm going to use a jumble move to swap this entire section over to here. In doing so, it'll put that piece that I need right in this spot, which I know I can use easily. So I'm just going to do these two turns here, bring that around, and undo that. I remember that green is the face I use, and these two corners are the ones that swap. Now, if I look here, this yellow needs to go onto this face, and this cream needs to go here. Because they're adjacent, I know if I just turn this down here, and then do a 180 from here, that it'll work. And now I just got to do a 180 on this yellow face, just like that. So I just got to remember to undo the front face, bring everything back, and then undo my jumble move. So it's right, left, back, front, back, left, right, back, front, back. Now I'm going to fix my front face first. Then I'm going to bring this back around, and then bring this back face around. And now I remember that my green face was where I did that jumble move. So I'm just going to bring it back to that green face and redo or undo that jumble move. And lo and behold, everybody's back where they belong, and this bad boy is solved. I hope this was somewhat helpful for you and you enjoyed my lesson here. Happy solving and best of luck.